There's a book inside you that never closes. The Stoics knew it well. You lie down at the end of a long day, and just as sleep approaches, it opens itself to the same page it always opens to, and it begins to read the entries aloud, the failures, the names, the moment your nerve gave out, and then, quietly, it adds the interest. Each entry is precise. You are a meticulous bookkeeper when it comes to your own faults. The cruel word you said 19 years ago, the friend you did not visit before the end, the version of yourself you were supposed to become and did not. Nothing is ever written off. Nothing is ever forgiven. 17 centuries ago, a man named Cassius kept accounts for a living. Well, he was good with figures, careful, exact, and he kept a second ledger that no one ever saw. The one where he wrote down everything he believed he owed. In his daytime books, every column balanced. That was his pride. But the second ledger never balanced, no matter what he did. The debits were his failures, his unkindnesses, every way he had fallen short, and the credit side stayed almost empty, because nothing he did ever felt like enough to enter there. What Cassius wanted was simple, and it ran his whole life. He wanted to pay it off, to balance the account at last, to become, through sheer effort, good enough that the book would finally close and let him sleep without it reading to him in the dark. So he paid the only way he knew. He gave more than he could afford and felt no lighter. He apologized for things long past until the apologies wore thin, and when giving did not clear the balance, he paid in the harder currency. He punished himself. He denied himself rest and called it justice. But the strangest thing kept happening. The harder he paid, the larger the debt seemed to grow. Each night he settled a little, and each night the interest had already outrun him. He was paying faithfully into an account that was designed never to close. Here's what Cassius could not see from inside it. The ledger was not really accounting. It was self-punishment, wearing the dignified mask of conscience. It felt like responsibility. It felt like taking his failures seriously. But it changed nothing, helped no one, and repaired not a single thing he had broken. Because there are two ways to look back at what you have done, and they could not be more different. One of them frees you, the other only bleeds you. And from the inside, they can look almost the same. Both are serious, both are unflinching, both refuse to look away from the fault. Seneca kept a nightly review of his own conduct. Every evening, when the lamp was out and the house had gone quiet, he would retrace the whole of his day, every word, every deed, hiding nothing from himself, passing nothing by. It sounds, at first, exactly like what Cassius did. But listen to the question Seneca asked. Not how much do I owe? He asked, what bad habit did I cure today? What fault did I resist? In what respect am I better? His review looked forward, toward the man he was becoming. It was a craftsman checking his work, not a debtor counting his chains. And then Seneca did the thing Cassius never could. When the review was done, he closed the book. He let the day be finished. He wrote that the soul should be called to account each evening, and then granted its sleep, accountability, and then rest. 2 halves of one healthy act. Cassius never closed the book. He kept it open and bled into it all night. And the oldest debt in it, the one he paid the most interest on, was a wrong he had done to a friend long ago. What he could not let himself know was this: that friend had forgiven him years before, fully, and had spoken of him warmly until the end. Only Cassius still kept the debt alive. This is the quiet horror under all of it. The creditor he had been paying so faithfully for so many years had closed the account long ago, or had died, or had never been keeping score at all. Cassius was the only one still collecting. He was paying a debt to no one but himself. And this is the line that finally matters. Guilt that changes how you act is conscience, and conscience is precious. It is the thing that makes you human, but guilt that only renews the sentence, night after night, changing nothing. Is not conscience at all. It is cruelty turned inward and dressed up as virtue. Here is the recognition, and it is the hardest one Cassius ever faced. The ledger never balanced because it was never really about justice. If it were about justice, it could be paid and closed. It stayed open because underneath every entry sat a single feeling that no payment can ever satisfy. The feeling that he himself was not worth forgiving. Marcus Aurelius wrote that each of us lives only in the present, this fleeting instant, that the past is already spent and gone, and you cannot pay a debt in a currency you no longer hold. The past is not a place you can return to and repair. It is closed to you, not as a punishment, but simply because it is past. What you can do is real, and it is enough. You can make amends where amends are still possible. You can let the failure change how you live tomorrow. That is the only payment that was ever in your power. You can owe a correction. You were never meant to owe an endless sentence. And then Cassius saw the whole strange machine at once. The creditor he was paying was himself. The judge who set the sentence was himself. The jailer who kept him in the cell every night with the book open, that was himself too. There was no one else in the room. There never had been. He did not burn the book. That is its own kind of lie. Pretending the debts were never real, that nothing happened, that he had wronged no one. The failures were true. He would not insult them by erasing them. He only did one small thing. For the first time in all those years, when the night came and the book opened itself and waited for him to add the day's interest, he set the pen down. He left the entry unwritten. He let one night go unpaid. And in the quiet that followed, with the page still open and the debt still there and unpunished for once, he noticed the only thing that had ever really needed noticing. The hand that held the pen all this time, the hand that wrote every cruel entry and added every night's interest. The hand that held it had always been his own.